Hey English learners, welcome back to Talk English with Emma, your friendly place to improve your English through simple, real-life conversations. I'm Emma.
And I'm Alex, and we are so genuinely glad you are here with us today, wherever you are listening from. And we mean that literally, because our listeners come from so many different corners of this world. Thank you for spending this time with us.
On this channel, we make English learning easy, practical, and enjoyable. We focus on everyday speaking, useful expressions, and conversations that help you sound more natural and confident. If you enjoy learning with us, please like this episode, subscribe to Talk English with Emma, and share it with a friend who is learning English too. Every like and every share helps us reach more learners around the world. Okay, let's get into today's topic.
Emma, I want to ask you something.
Of course.
Has someone ever asked you, "So, where are you from?" And you said the name of your country, and then they said, "Oh, really? Tell me about it." And suddenly your mind went completely blank?
Yes, and the strange thing is, I have lived there my whole life. I know everything about it. I love it. I have so many things I could say. But the moment someone asks me to describe it in English, I open my mouth and what comes out is something like, "It is nice, the weather is okay, we have good food."
The weather is okay, we have good food. The two most forgettable sentences in the English language.
Completely forgettable. And I think about that moment afterward and I feel this quiet frustration because my country is not just okay weather and good food. It is so much more than that. It is specific streets and particular smells and the way certain music makes everyone stop what they are doing. It is memories and history and the feeling of being somewhere that made you who you are. And none of that came out. None of it.
And I think so many learners feel exactly this, not because they do not love their country, they love it deeply, but because nobody ever taught them how to talk about a place in a way that actually does it justice. They were taught capital cities and national dishes and official languages, the school answer, the Wikipedia answer, but not the real answer, not the human answer.
And that's exactly what today's episode is for. Today, we're going to learn how to talk about your country in English in a way that is real, warm, specific, and genuinely interesting to listen to. We have 3 ideas for you, 3 small shifts that will completely transform how you describe where you come from.
And the third idea, Emma, I want to say this now. The third one is the one that most learners have never thought about, and it changes everything.
It really does. So please stay with us all the way to the end. But let's start with idea number 1.
Idea number 1. Stop describing your country. Start showing it. Now let me explain the difference. Describing is when you give general, broad information. My country is large. It has mountains and beaches. The climate is warm. The food is delicious. These are descriptions, and they are not wrong, but they are also not interesting because they could apply to 20 different countries. They tell the listener almost nothing that is uniquely true.
Showing is different. Showing is when you give one specific, vivid detail that puts your listener right inside the place. Something they have never seen or heard before. Something that makes them think, "I did not know that. Tell me more."
For example, instead of saying, "My country has beautiful nature," you could say, "There is a place in my country where the river runs a color I have never seen anywhere else. It is this deep, almost unreal green, like someone poured something into the water. And the first time I took a friend there who had never been, they just stood at the bank and said nothing for a full minute.
Now I want to visit that place.
That is the response you want. That is the conversation you want to have. And notice, that was not difficult English. Deep green, stood at the bank, said nothing for a full minute. These are simple words, but they are specific. And specific is always more powerful than general.
Think of it this way. If I ask you to draw me a picture of a fruit, you might draw an apple or a banana, something general. But if I ask you to draw the exact fruit that was sitting on your grandmother's kitchen table when you were 7, suddenly you're drawing something real, something no one else has ever drawn before. That's what specific details do for language.
I want to share something personal. I moved away from my home country when I was in my mid-20s, and when people here ask me about where I am from, I used to give the safe answer, the capital city, the famous landmark, the food people already know about, the answer that feels acceptable.
The tour guide answer.
Exactly, the tour guide answer. And then one evening someone asked me, and I was tired and maybe I had my guard down a little, and instead of the tour guide answer, I said, honestly, the thing I miss most about home is the sound the city makes early in the morning before most people wake up. There's this particular quiet that is different from the quiet anywhere else I've lived. I cannot explain why, but when I close my eyes and think about home, that's what I hear, that quiet.
Alex, that gave me chills.
And the person I was talking to went completely still for a moment, and then they said, I know exactly what you mean about a sound being a place. And we talked for an hour about home and missing and the strange specific ways we carry the places we come from inside us. All because I stopped giving the tour guide answer and gave the real answer instead.
And that conversation happened in English. Ordinary, simple, honest English. No advanced vocabulary, no perfect grammar, just one real detail shared with openness. And the door opened.
So, idea number 1, stop describing your country in general terms. Show your listener one specific thing, one detail, one image, one sound, one smell, something true and particular that exists nowhere else. That is the beginning of a real conversation.
Okay, idea number 2, and this one is about structure, about how to organize what you say so it flows naturally and keeps the other person interested. Because one of the challenges English learners have when talking about their country is not that they have nothing to say, it is that they have too much to say, and they do not know where to start. And so they either go blank or they try to say everything at once, and it comes out confused and rushed.
So here's a simple structure that works beautifully. Think of it as 3 layers: the outside layer, the inside layer, and the underneath layer. And let me explain each one.
The outside layer is the factual, visible surface of your country, where it is geographically, what the landscape looks like, the climate, the size. This is the information that helps your listener picture the place. For example, my country is in West Africa. It is mostly flat with savanna grasslands in the north and tropical forest in the south. The rainy season runs from May to October, and when it rains, it really rains. Not a drizzle, a full, warm, heavy rain that makes the whole world smell different for an hour after it stops.
Did you hear how that came alive? She did not just say it rains a lot. She said, a full, warm, heavy rain that makes the whole world smell different. That's the outside layer, but told with feeling.
The inside layer is the human side of your country. The people, the culture, the daily life. How people behave toward each other. What a normal day looks and feels like. The food on the table, the sounds on the street, the way strangers interact. For example, people in my country greet each other with a lot of warmth, even strangers. You do not just say hello and move on. You stop. You ask about the family. You ask about the health. You ask about the children. It takes time. And at first, when I moved abroad, I thought people here were rude because they did not do this. And then I understood. They are not rude. It is just a different way of moving through the world.
That inside layer answer is so interesting because it's not just describing a country, it's describing a way of being human. And that always makes people want to know more.
And the underneath layer, this is the deepest one. The underneath layer is what your country means to you personally, not what it is to you, what it carries for you, what it gave you, what it took from you, what you miss, what you struggled with, what you are proud of. This is the most personal layer, and often the most powerful.
For example, my country is complicated for me. I love it in the way you love something that is part of your bones. But it also has a painful history and a difficult present. And sometimes loving it means holding both things at once, the beauty and the difficulty, the pride and the grief. That's hard to explain, but it's the truest thing I can say about where I come from.
And you don't have to go that deep. The underneath layer can be as simple as, the thing my country gave me that I'm most grateful for is the ability to find joy in small things. We didn't have much when I was growing up, but the way people celebrated, the way people laughed together over nothing, the way a simple meal could become a whole occasion, that's something I carry everywhere I go.
3 layers. Outside, the geography and landscape. Inside, the people and daily life. Underneath, what it means to you. You don't have to use all 3 every time, but knowing they exist means you always have somewhere to go in the conversation. You can always go deeper.
Okay, now the third idea, the one that surprises people. Are you ready?
Tell him, Emma.
When you talk about your country in English, you do not have to be an expert. You do not have to know every historical date or every political fact or every statistic. In fact, some of the best conversations about countries start with the words, I am not sure about this, but, or, this might just be how it feels to me, but, or, I do not know if this is true everywhere in my country, but where I grew up.
That sounds so simple, but say more about why it matters.
Because so many learners hold back from talking about their country in English because they are afraid of getting something wrong, afraid of being corrected, afraid of not knowing enough. And so they say nothing. Or they give the safe, small, agreed-upon facts that everyone already knows, and the conversation goes nowhere.
The fear of being wrong is one of the biggest conversation killers in language learning, not just about countries, about everything.
And here's the thing, when a real person talks about their country in real life, they do not speak like a Wikipedia article. They speak from experience, from feeling, from memory. And they say things like, I think it might be because of our history, but, or maybe this is different in the cities, but in the small town where I grew up, or I could be wrong about this, but I've always felt that the reason people in my country are so loud and expressive is because, and then they share a theory, a feeling, a story.
And that is so much more interesting than a fact, because a fact tells you what, but a feeling and a theory tell you why. And why is always the more interesting conversation.
And it's completely fine to say, I don't know the full history, but I know that this happened in my grandfather's time and it changed everything. You are not a textbook. You are a person. And people speak from their own corner of the truth, their own angle, their own experience.
I want to tell you something that changed the way I think about this. A few years ago, I was at a dinner with people from about 8 different countries, and at some point, someone asked everyone to share one thing about their country that tourists almost never see or hear about. Not the famous thing, the hidden thing.
Oh, I love that question.
And what followed was one of the most extraordinary conversations I have ever been part of. Someone talked about a festival in their country that only happens once every 7 years, and the whole village turns completely upside down. Someone else talked about a particular food that is only made in one small region, and the recipe is passed from grandmother to granddaughter and never written down. Someone talked about a piece of music that every person in their country knows, and the moment it plays in a room of people from that country, something changes in the air.
The hidden things. The things that do not make it onto the travel websites.
And every single person at that table said those hidden things in ordinary, simple English. Not perfect, not advanced, but alive, because they were saying something real.
So, idea number 3 is this. You do not need to be an expert on your country to talk about it beautifully in English. You just need to talk about your own corner of it, your experience of it, the part that belongs to you. Speak from there, and speak honestly, and that is always enough.
Okay, let's slow down now and take our word tour. A gentle walk through some of the words that will help you talk about your country more naturally and vividly.
First word, landscape. The landscape is the physical appearance of an area of land. The mountains, the plains, the rivers, the coast, the forests, the desert. It is what the land looks like when you look out across it. For example, the landscape of my country changes completely as you travel from north to south. In the north, it is dry and golden. In the south, it is green and wet and lush. Say it. Landscape. Landscape. A wide open word for a wide open view.
Next word, heritage. Heritage means the traditions, culture, history, and values that are passed down through generations. It is what your people have carried forward across time. For example, my country has a rich musical heritage. The music is in everything, the ceremonies, the markets, the homes, the streets. Or, I feel a deep connection to the heritage of my country even when I am living far from it. Say it. Heritage. Heritage. It carries the weight of time in it.
Next phrase, off the beaten track. We used this phrase in our travel episode, but it works beautifully here too. Off the beaten track means away from the well-known tourist routes, the places that are not in the guidebooks, the places that belong to the people who actually live there. For example, the most beautiful part of my country is completely off the beaten track. Most tourists never find it, but if you're patient and you ask the right people, they will take you there. Say it, off the beaten track. Off the beaten track.
Next word, diverse. Diverse means containing many different types, many different cultures, many different experiences. Countries that are diverse have great variety within them, in food, in language, in tradition, in landscape. For example, my country is incredibly diverse. What is true in the capital is completely different from what is true in the countryside. We have dozens of different languages, and every region feels like a slightly different world. Say it. Diverse. Diverse. A word that holds many things inside it.
Next word, distinctive. Distinctive means easily recognized as different from everything else, uniquely itself. For example, the architecture in my country is very distinctive. The style, the colors, the shapes, you would know immediately that you was somewhere specific. Or, we have a very distinctive sense of humor. Dark and dry and a little bit painful, but ours. Say it. Distinctive. Distinctive. That word even sounds like itself.
And our last word today, pride. Pride is that warm, strong feeling of deep connection and love for something you are part of. Pride in your country does not mean thinking your country is perfect. It means feeling genuinely connected to it, moved by it, grateful for what it gave you. For example, when I hear our national music playing in a foreign country, I feel this rush of pride that surprises me every time. Or, I have complicated feelings about my country, but when I see someone from home far away, there is still this instant recognition, this warmth, this quiet pride in what we share. Say it, pride. Pride, a small word carrying a big feeling.
6 words today. Landscape, heritage, off the beaten track, diverse, distinctive, and pride. Let them sit with you, and when you talk about your country this week, and somebody will ask you, someone always asks, try to use one of them, just one, and see how it changes the shape of what you say.
Because the right word is not just a tool, it is a window.
And when you find the right word for something you have always felt but never quite named, the world gets a little bit bigger.
Now it is your turn, and this is the moment we always look forward to most.
Yes, because this is where the conversation becomes yours.
Here's your challenge. Think about your country. Not the capital city, not the national dish everyone already knows. Think about one specific thing that belongs to your experience of it. One detail, one sound, one smell, one moment, one hidden thing that a tourist would never find, but that you carry with you everywhere you go.
And write it in the comments, in English, in your own words, at whatever level you're at right now.
You could write something like, "In my country, there's a tradition we do every year that I have never seen anywhere else, and it makes me feel like I belong to something bigger than myself." Or, "The thing most people do not know about my country is how much we laugh, everywhere, at everything, even the hard things, especially the hard things." Or, "When I smell a certain food, I'm immediately 12 years old and home."
Simple, honest, specific. That's all it needs to be.
And please do not wait until your English is perfect to write it. Write it now in the English you have today, because the English you have today is already enough to say something true, and something true is always worth saying.
When you write your comment, you are not just practicing a language, you are doing something remarkable. You are taking the place that made you and you are putting it into words in a language that belongs to the whole world. And that means the whole world can hear it.
And your comment might be exactly what another learner needed today. Someone from a completely different country who reads your words and thinks, "I feel exactly that about my home too." And suddenly, two strangers on opposite sides of the earth are connected by one honest sentence written in English.
That is what language is for. That is what it has always been for.
Before we finish, we want to say something. If you have ever felt shy about talking about your country, maybe because you felt like your country was not interesting enough, or not famous enough, or too complicated to explain, please hear this. Every country on this earth contains extraordinary, beautiful, painful, funny, specific, unrepeatable human life, including yours. Especially yours.
And you do not need to be a travel writer or a historian to describe it. You just need to be honest. You just need to pick one small true thing and say it out loud, in English. And that is enough.
That is always enough. So if this episode helped you even a little, please give it a like, subscribe to Talk English with Emma, and share it with someone you know who is learning English. Your support truly helps us reach more learners.
Until next time, take care of your English and take care of the place that made you, because it is worth talking about. This was Talk English with Emma. I'm Alex.
And I'm Emma. We will see you in the next episode. Bye, everyone.